So, MLF Toyota Series as a co-angler on Lake Sam Rayburn in the early weeks of May 2023 was another learning experience for me. Once again, I got live scoped on the first day. What does it mean to be live scoped? Being live scoped as a co-angler basically means that your professional or your boater that you're paired up with has control of the boat, control of the trolling motor, and they use their live scope technology, whether it's Lowrance, Humminbird, whatever, Garmin with Panoptics, and they get on the front of the trolling motor, they keep the trolling motor on high, and they go to brush piles that they're aware of, that they found or sunk themselves, and they front end you by lining up the live scope, looking at the brush, checking it for fish, reactive fish, etc., etc. They make a few casts to it, and if they don't get hit, they don't see fish reacting to crankbaits, jerkbaits, worms, jigs, whatever they put down there. Then they pick up the trolling motor and they move to another brush pile, leaving you in the back, basically high and dry, fishing bearing ground, no brush to be shared with you, no information shared with you. It's just simply put that they are targeting certain little bitty areas with brush piles. If the fish aren't in there or reacting, like I said, they move on to the next brush pile. So on day one, that's what happened to me. And we probably hit 50 to 60 brush piles. We hit brush piles all across the main lake here. So as I zoom in, we never went past the first bridge. I believe this is Highway 147 bridge. And we stayed all out through here on the main lake in various areas, and we hit brush pile after brush pile after brush pile. And then we came across the lake and came out here on some main lake points where he had known brush piles. And you can see here on the Navionics, there's some people that have things marked here and there with some known brush piles that you might can find. But long story short, I'm going to give these guys credit. They have spent the time, they spent the effort, they spent the energy, the money to sit out here and idle and use their side imaging technology to find these brush piles. And then they have honed their skills to be able to catch fish out of them. And that's what they did, especially on day one. Day two, my partner that I got teamed up with wasn't as prone to using it, but at the end of the day, he spent about half of the day live scoping brush piles that he was aware of. And again, they keep them in front of the boat where the co-anglers can't fish toward them, so you're just blindly casting out the back. And that's fine. I chose to go as a co-angler so I could have some learning experiences down here on Lake Sam Rayburn because I haven't been there in over 10 years. And the mission accomplished. The way that these guys used these technology tools, the baits that they were using, their approach to everything was amazing. And um, earlier in the year when I was fishing as a co-angler down there with Wyatt, and this time around I got the fish the first day with a guy named Marshall. Both of them knew where these brush piles were at. They knew how to approach them. They knew how to target them, and they caught fish. And both of them have placed in the top 10 respectively in each one of these events. So, again, hats off to them. Job well done. You can see on other tournaments that these guys really know this lake. Skeeter Outlaws, Bash Champs, Team Trail Outdoors, and the list goes on and on. They're constantly, if not winning, they're constantly in the top 10. So they know this lake very well. We went, again, all across the main lake here, all throughout, right about here to Little Caney area, or the Caney Creek area. And we fished brush pile after brush pile after brush pile. And then my second day partner that I got partnered with, we came across over here and fished brush piles over here. Zoom in right here. And then we fished this point just the same. And then around this corner was a lot of hydrilla that we caught fish off of. And I zeroed on the first day, which kind of pissed me off. Because at Sam Rayburn, you should be able to at least catch something. But when you're being live scoped and you're just dragging a worm around to, naked ground or whatever, not in the brush, not able to get in the brush, that part makes for a long day. But again, it was very fascinating to see these dudes work their tools, work the targets, and it was great to see that. We did go up here in the back of this area, back up in here. Once, lots of lily pads up in here in Caney Creek and whatnot. Harvey Creek, I think is what the true name of this big branch here is, coming straight across. But both of my guys that I was partnered with never went across this bridge. And my second day guy kind of did more of my kind of fishing. We came over here by Caney, and we hit a lot of hay grass first thing in the morning using soft plastic jerk baits. And then we came across this way, and again we came across here and hit a bunch of hydrilla, throwing shaky heads, jerk baits, and it got to the point where I was catching so many rats on shaky heads. I had my limit before he did, and I gave him some of my worms and hooks so that he could catch his limit. So it's good to have a boater or a professional that will talk with you, talk to you, so the day's not long and boring, and again put you into an area where you can also be fishing the same cover, same structure, whatever you want to call it. But that part was nice. And again, I weighed in my 5 fish for just under 8 pounds. If I could have had that on day one, I would have been fishing on the third day. But again, when you're out here in deep water, fishing brush piles, and they're all in front of the boat, you can't throw at them. You can't throw to the front of the boat. And when your boater says, hey, I'm done with this pile, let's move to the next one, they're moving and shaking, man. They're getting on it. They're doing what they need to do to be successful. And again, I applaud them for knowing how to use these tools, finding these brush piles, and throwing the baits down in there and trying to get the fish to strike. And they were very successful doing that. So hats off to them. Sam Rayburn was full. The weather was basically no wind. It was very sunny. But the second day, watching that dude catch all them fish on the jerkbait and the hydrilla, we probably caught collectively together probably 70 fish, but struggled to find some size. But man, we caught a lot of fish. So it was a good time. The second day was a much better day than not catching a single fish on the first day. So just wanted to share that with everybody. So this is where we were at on Sam Rayburn. We never went into Beach. We didn't come past this area to Caney, all the way straight across. We didn't hit anything else but this main lake stuff on both sides, and there was just brush pile after brush pile that these guys had found, put waypoints on, and was able to go straight to them. So hope that helps if you guys get live scoped in your event. My recommendation, I can tell you what I did. I dragged a large worm around. I dragged a large jig around. I dragged a shaky head around. It didn't matter. Out there in 15 feet of water, 20 feet of water, when there's no cover, it's hard to find them. But when you found the cover, found the brush, there were some in there. So throw your Carolina rigs, throw whatever you got to do just to drag it around. But that's literally all you're doing when you're getting teamed up with somebody like that. You're just dragging something. Get your big crankbaits. Throw everything that the boater's throwing. You will eventually stumble into a dumb one, and who knows, you may get 5 to weigh in. But throw the big crankbaits, big jigs, big worms, shake heads if you need to, Carolina rigs on with a brush hog. You will eventually get bit. Hope this information helps you out. Again, hats off to those guys that I got to partner with. Both were nice guys, even though on the first day our motor broke down and we were lucky to find one more guy coming in from the bridge area, so I could take my pros fish in and weigh them in for him. And then, we had to do boat swaps and everything else, so that was an ordeal, but we made it through and eventually got his boat off the water. But heck of a time, and again, watching these dudes do their job, it's pretty good stuff. So uh, hopefully this information helps you out. Y'all go out there and rip some lip. We'll see you.